Coming to you live from WRUE in Tennessee, it's the Scribbling Women.
You gotta love him, don't you?
Oh, I do.
Hi, I'm Nancy Rue. I'm a scribbling woman, and so are you. And that's why we're having this conversation. Here we talk about the writerly life that is unique to you, no matter your age, the season of your life, or where you are in your writing career, even if you don't think you have one yet. So you are now an official scribbly. So let's chat. As we continue our season of dreaming our unique writing life, I have found the perfect guest for this week's topic, which is imagining studio and staff. Scribblies, I bring you Jenai May. Jenai, welcome.
Hello.
Janai's been typing out stories since she was 8 years old, and she's currently writing a locally set, meaning Southern Oregon, urban fantasy, the first in a trilogy, actually. She's also the owner of the Silver Rockets, which is a web design business, which I can personally recommend highly with glowing reviews. And in addition to homeschooling her kids, serving on a board for women entrepreneurs, leading a local and online hybrid writing community, as well as filling a vital role in the Scribbling Women, she has created a very impressive 8-phase grid novel planning strategy, which provides both structure and a space for writing surprises. It's not as formidable as it sounds. So basically, Janai is fabulous. Janai, I'm so glad that you're here.
Nice to be here. Thank you.
We are both of the opinion that dreaming as a writer has to include more than just the stories themselves. We have to dream up our whole environment. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. I can't do that without dreaming in every corner of my life.
Excellent. Love the way you put that. So, what is your current writing space like?
It's my
Oh,
workspace. It is, yeah, it's my workspace. It's this tiny, it's actually used to be a nightstand. It's in the living room where the TV, right? The TV's right behind me. Maybe 20 feet away is the grumbling ancient refrigerator. Kids are wandering around. The husband's wandering around. The dining room isn't far off. Everything is open. And I fit. That's all.
So, what do you want it to be, kind of in general? In your dreamiest of dreams, what would it really be like instead of that little corner?
I think there's stages to that. Like, I can't help but dream of what I know is possible, which is like just my own room, you know, just that. But in the dreamiest, I would love like some impossible cottage that is in my backyard but can't be because it's actually from like Scotland or something, but it's in Southern Oregon. It's
Okay.
stone, big enough to be fully appointed, but small enough to be called a cottage, but has all the little things that you would love in a castle.
Okay, I'm loving it. I'm loving it. So,
That kind of thing.
yeah, let's go in
And all
and
around it will be nice landscaping. So if I look out the window, everything I see is inspiring. Nooks and crannies that you would expect in a castle.
yeah,
Little corners with something tucked in there, a little statue or whatever. I don't know. And
I
always a
do know.
cat.
I do know.
Always a cat because they type better than I do. They think they do.
Well, absolutely.
And
So if we want to
um,
do this in detail, Janai, what would you want in there for your ears?
my ears would have only pleasant sounds, nothing shrill or repetitive, nothing malfunctioning, which includes some birds. Some birds malfunction and they just get stuck on repeat. I can't take it.
No,
So
no,
they need to
no.
be, like doves and sweet little warbly Twitter things or hoots of owls and calls of peacocks and stuff, that kind of bird. I need them. And
Yeah,
I'm near a creek, so I
big
get some
geese.
of that.
Yeah, right, right.
Yeah.
And you don't need a refrigerator.
I don't need anything dying and reminding me that there's going to be a big bill coming soon. I don't need the sounds of appliance death. Um,
Does
I
not lend
don't
itself to creativity, right?
no. I don't need to hear the clacking of kids and people playing video games. Um, you're just the sound of the air conditioner, all
The,
that.
the
It's what my
cacophony.
ears don't want.
Yes. But what would they
I do
welcome?
want some sound though. Otherwise, it can be kind of like, oh gosh, what's going on?
Mm-hmm. Have I died?
So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So what would your
Um,
ears welcome? What kind of sounds?
the sounds like that I would introduce to the space would be those pleasant birds, the sound of the creek running outside the window. I need to hear that. I don't know why, but
Yeah.
like it'll get into my dreams, my actual dreaming, sleeping dreams,
Right.
and affect things. Um, music, my ears are fickle and
Ah.
unpredictable, just like their owner. So if it's music, it can't have English in it. It has to be some language that I'm not fluent in, that I can just hear but not focus too much on.
Yeah.
But if I have a show on in the background, which I sometimes do,
Mm-hmm.
then it has to be Jane Austen or Downton Abbey or something. I have to actually hear language then, and
Yeah.
it'll improve my writing. So it's not consistent.
So the myth of you have to have total silence does not apply to you at all. No.
No. Okay, so that's the other thing that straight up front, I have ADHD. So all of my dreams have to foster an environment that enables the ADHD to function.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
so a lot of people with ADHD will have TV and stuff on
Mm-hmm.
at the same time. And it's actually a strange trick. Some ADHD tricks work for neurotypical people too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, because you are hearing something, your mind won't wander as much. So
Okay.
even
Okay.
though you're multitasking, you're trying to control how that plays out. And so instead of just sitting here and going, bills, I have to pay bills, you're listening to Jane Austen instead, and you're still thinking, bills, I have to pay. Anyway,
You also
all
had
women
bills,
not
right?
pay for anything. So,
Right. Well,
um,
and a lot of bright, creative people like yourself are neurodivergent in that way. So
it's
great information.
come yeah, another group of mine they were asking, should we make a space just for neurodivergent people to talk? And we were like, actually, they're kind of running rampant throughout everywhere right now. It's more like you need a space for the neurotypical people to to get away.
Regain the sanity, right?
Yeah, yeah.
What do your eyes need in your dreamy space?
My eyes need a lot. I
Okay.
love to be inspired by visuals. And I end up having a lot of trinkets and collections because of that. I have, various antiques and
Mhm.
little figurines and all kinds of collections because of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it can end up cluttery. Well, it does. It just does.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So there's a way, and that is what my eyes don't need, because that becomes a to-do list item. I need to clean up the clutter. I need to tidy up around here. So I need to just see inspiration, lots of visual feeds that inspire me to include things in my story
Mhm.
or
Yeah.
fill in the life of a character and their passions. But I don't need the to-do list. So the finding that balance is almost impossible.
It has to be carefully chosen for sure.
Oh
But it's
yeah.
your
Oh,
endless
yeah.
dream. So
It
it
is.
can happen.
It is.
Right? What
For
about
sure.
your nose? What about your nose? What do you want to smell in this space?
Yeah, I do. I love to have sense. Okay, the ones that will inspire me the most tend to be spicy, but like sweet spicy, like things that you would associate with a cookie or something, like cinnamon and nutmeg, and it's a lot of citrus, but not lemon, because once again, that's a to-do list item because it's a cleaning fluid most of the time.
Everything has lemon in it, right?
Yeah, and it's like one of my favorite foods, but I don't want to just sit there smelling it because then I'll think of floors or
Right.
something.
Part of the polish.
So give me a really great orange or grapefruit or something,
Mhm.
and then that works really well. If it's flowers, it would be also a sweet flower like a gardenia or jasmine, that kind of rich, heady smell. But and I can't, like, I would love to hear a fire, but I don't want to smell it.
Really?
I have too many allergies. Yeah, I can't.
Mm.
It'll be an instant headache.
But in your
So,
dreamiest dreams, you'll have someone there to tend that, so it'll
oh
be
yes,
okay,
yes,
right? Yes.
absolutely.
What about your mouth? What would please your mouth in this dreamy writing studio of yours?
There I have to be careful because what pleases my mouth when I'm writing, if I'm dreaming, it's going to be, sour gummies and potato chips. It's just going to be that, and that, nothing but that. And I will die. So,
Right there in the chair. Yeah.
yeah. But then I have to remember I do love other things. They just aren't always on hand. So like slices of apple and brie cheese and wonderful crunchy sourdough bread and delicious selection of nuts and stuff. That'll do it. That'll make me real happy. And a wonderful steaming cup of coffee that I don't forget to drink and is actually still hot all the time. Um,
Okay, I'm drooling here,
hot
right?
black tea just, oh, makes me so happy. So yeah,
Yes. Mm.
that'll do it.
What about your touchy parts?
Yeah, I don't know because I'm usually just so busy typing at that point. It's like, well, how do I want my keyboard to feel? That kind of thing. But
Yeah.
there is something that I'm craving. A friend of mine, actually a fellow scribbly, um, managed to pick up an external keyboard that looks like the keys of an old typewriter. So it's got
No.
the actual round independent keys and it makes the clack, clack, clack sound and everything. I could do that. That would be a tactile something in writing that I would love. And
Mm.
when I'm writing, I love a hefty fountain pen or
Oh,
even a light one if it's the scratchy. I actually love that. I love,
you were the
yes,
one who turned me on to the
yep,
need for a fountain pen. So I know
yes.
whereof you speak. Yes.
I love that one. The Kawako Sport,
Yes.
if that's how you pronounce it. Um,
Works for me.
It does, and it's just pleasant. I can't do it much because my hands have rheumatoid arthritis. I have rheumatoid arthritis, so I can't hold a lot, and my thumb will disconnect. It's gross. Anyway,
No. Not a happy thing.
yeah,
That's not going to
um,
happen in your dream
but just
studio.
having it, seeing
So,
it,
yeah,
seeing the
exactly.
calligraphy paper or samples of when I practiced it, all of that is inspiring. It takes me to different times, worlds, characters. I love it all.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
and yeah, just that touch, those things, those really help me for writing.
tactile things are super important. What
Yeah.
about what do you need for your soul? Because, it's not all brain
Mm.
stuff, right?
Yeah, that one. I need time. I need to
Mm.
know I have time. I need it to be obvious that I have time. I need fewer bills to be thinking about, just the practical to-do list things, like, because those are pressures that confine my soul. I
Mhm.
need the fewer chores and worries, other people's to-do lists, all that clutter gumming up the brain. Then my soul can sing. Then all that horrible clattering in my head goes away and instead fills with all the marvelousness that's around me. Then I can really see everything that's filling my dream space instead
Mhm.
of everything that's sitting between me and it. It's
Yeah.
like almost
And that
like it
wonderful
blurs
image.
your vision.
Yes. Yeah. So, where do you want all of this located in your dreamiest of dreams? I love the
Okay.
demon laugh there.
Because instinctively, I'm like, oh yeah, that's going to be somewhere in the English countryside, in the Cotswolds, or in Scotland or something. And then I'm like, I've been there, and I don't know that I actually need it there.
Yeah.
It's good, but it's not as easy as it sounds.
No, it's
So,
very cold. Yep.
so we're going to reproduce that in my backyard. My backyard is going to multiply in size. It's already sort of big, but I want it bigger.
Okay.
And it's all going to just be there so that I can be around my family and my friends, because I need them dropping by. You know, I
Mhm.
don't need to remove myself from their space.
Right.
And then I'll be pretty happy. Just make my impossible cottage be where I'm at, but not in my home.
Right. Yeah.
I
So it's
need to
separate.
actually cross that impossible threshold into that other world, into my creative space that is always dedicated to creating. Work won't be allowed there. Nothing will be allowed there that isn't inspiring and feeding my creative works and my soul. I will go to that space just to think, to read, to dream, all of those things in the space where I will also create.
So there has to be a physical transition,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Now,
Which
even
you
if
can
you're
create.
not going to have all of that anytime soon, what are your
No.
must-haves for wherever you write? What are the must-haves, the basics?
And that's a good question, because it was important for me to have the dream be something I cannot have, that no one can have. You can't have
Mhm.
England in the Southern Oregon backyard,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So I wasn't going to do that to myself. In my home, I do have a thing I can do. It's I have an old desk that I had when I was like a teenager. And it's one of the ones where the front, it's all flat with like three drawers, but the top folds down, and it behind it there's all the cubbies and drawers and a
Mhm.
little cupboard even, and all this little miniature organizing stuff. And of course, the thing that you folded down, you can put a laptop on.
Yes. Yes.
And right now, I mean, you've heard of junk drawers. It's the junk desk, the desk,
Yeah.
the whole thing.
Yes. Junk. Right.
Oh, so so I finally just looked at it and said, all of that is literally junk. It's not even just a term. It's just, batteries. Why do they have to be there?
Right. Yeah.
That kind of stuff. It's
Spare
got
parts of things you don't
that
even
I've
own
just
anymore.
taken off a wall for Christmas and, never put it back up. I mean, it's got everything. And all of that can go in the garage.
Right. Right.
And whatever stays would be useful to me anyway. So that's fine. And I would just love for all those cubbies to be, they're miniature versions of the little nooks and crannies in that cottage, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they're going to have all those things. The top is sort of like a little shelf. And so I can put more, my fountain pen collection can sort of go there. Some of them at the very least, some of the prettier ink bottles and blotters and things. All those writerly items that just make you think about creating a story.
You
It's
don't ever.
funny, right on the wall above it is a very, very dignified portrait of Star Trek's Data with his cat. So
Gotta have that. That's a
it's
must
all
have.
me. It's definitely me. I wouldn't even change that out, So that corner being in this larger dining room,
Mhm.
even though it too is open format and just flows right into the kitchen and the living room, it feels removed. It
Mhm.
feels like I could cross that threshold and not be at work and look at all those things that inspire me in this little corner. I'm good with micro decorating, it'll work.
Yeah.
And I can just sit there for however long I can. It's not terribly comfortable, but long enough.
Mhm.
And do some writing, do some creating, do the outlining, think about a character's life,
Right. Right.
and it would be perfect there. And behind me is the only thing that's might complicate things sometimes, and I don't think it will, because the dining room table is where my daughter sits very often throughout the day. So she'd be a few feet away from me, but also writing.
Oh,
So, so
and then
we'd
you're
both
passing things
be
out,
writing.
right? It's
Yeah,
I think it sounds pretty idyllic, just right
I
there with
think so.
in your home.
I
Um,
think so.
do you have a name for this desk?
I do, because
Of course you do.
um, it came to me really fast too, because I was thinking about my impossible cottage, and I had to call it Impossible Cottage to
Right.
to work with it. And then I thought, well, what would you call the desk? And it was like, well, this one is possible. So it was like the possible. It was like P.A. Sybil. So it's like the initials P.A. and then the ancient Greek Sybil,
Right.
like the
Right.
oracle, inspiring visions and
Oh,
all.
yeah. 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 I mean,
So
there
I
was
was like,
nothing else
oh,
to call it.
Sybil.
Yes. Oh, I love it. I love it. Every time I see a gorgeous, huge somebody's dream house, I think they must have a full staff to take care of that. And that
Yeah.
keeps me from coveting it too much, right? But I
Oh
think
yeah.
that applies to the writing life as well. If we're going to have this
Oh yeah.
dream space, what about a dream team? What about a staff? So, Janai, who do you need to take care of the pesky have tos so that you can write?
Well, let me think. I believe my housekeeper would have to come first and foremost. And
Yeah.
actually, when I was ever thinking about this, I
Hey.
left the housekeeper out because it's the most necessary one, right? It's like in
Mhm.
every corner of my life. Like I
Yeah.
said, I like trinkets and stuff. I mean, my muses are even just little trinkets, like this little harpy and a little Star Wars droid and a little Care Bear, Dream Bear.
You're very eclectic.
And I have a ton of books and various little things all around, knickknacks. They gather dust. And I have allergies,
Mhm.
but I don't have time. So I'll be writing and I'll space out and see like a dust thing floating around. And I'm like, "Ugh, I have to get around to dusting, but it's never going to happen."
Mhm.
So everything I love is covered in dust. So that housekeeper is going to make that go away
Mhm.
all the
Good,
time, because
good.
I will then just see the items, the inspiring things, and they won't also have a chore literally laying on top of them,
Yes, yes.
and help to make my home guest ready. Because how many times are you writing, you get lost in a world, everything starts building up, and then knock knock, somebody comes to the door.
Throwing
Panic.
magazines on the couch.
Yeah. Yeah. And And so I would like it to be guest ready at least. The bathroom's always perfect, the
Mhm.
kitchen, the floors.
Oh, yeah.
And the thing that seems to trip me up the most is mail. I don't know why, but it just builds up and I don't know where to put all these things. And it's always the empty envelopes, the junk mail, the important stuff on every surface.
Mhm.
So this housekeeper will know how to handle that.
Right. Handle your correspondence.
I'll just handle all those weird things that build up when you get too busy, like going through my pantry and refrigerator regularly, and sternly reminding me that a Best Buy date, it does not mean that this thing will last for 10 years.
Yeah. It's not a
Um,
suggestion, right?
no, it's
No.
just Best Buy. I get that there's a gray area there, but don't take this too far, Janai, please. Um, periodically go through my clothes so that the laundry can be put away, because there's stuff that I haven't worn ever or not in a long time.
Basically, you'd never run out of underwear ever
No,
again. That would
no.
be awesome. That would be awesome. Okay, so who would monitor your physical well-being so you can be at your best to create?
That's a team. That really is a team. I
Okay.
mean, it even starts with that housekeeper, right? Because the dust, it's not good for me. And then I would have a cook who can do the shopping. I mean, I want to cook. let's make that very clear. I love cooking, but I just can't always have time for it. So there would be somebody there filling in those times where cooking suddenly becomes an anxiety point. Um, and making sure that I do have those healthy options that I like, and not always stocked up on the other things, the
Mhm.
junk food.
Yes.
Because I will be fine if it's not in the house, but if it is in the house, then I have to have it.
It's going down.
So they'd watch out for that. I would have my masseuse, a friend that I used to work with years and years ago. Um, she's very
On call.
familiar with my Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, which is EDS. I have bendy bad joints. Um, and it means that my neck and shoulders will have a lot of problems if I'm sitting too long. It's
Mhm.
very, very risky behavior, sitting.
Yeah.
It's things will dislocate and stuff. And she knows how to deal with my body and work with it and remind me to hydrate. She's always reminding me to hydrate. And the other person who always reminds me to hydrate is my therapist. She has that as a big part
So
of the
you need
treatment.
her on the team as well.
Yes, because there's a lot of habits for mental health that also slip by if you hyper focus on your story for hours on end. It's like, take that time, reminders for those general wellness tips. And all of them, I think, would accompany me for a walk. The cook, the housekeeper.
Okay, everybody's going on the walk. Okay, with the
But
dog.
somebody has to come with me because I have a crazy dog who likes to, just like wind up your feet and you're flat on the ground. There is no straight walk with this dog.
Right.
It's back and forth, around and around. We walk a mile, she walks 5. It's sort of a
Yeah.
a thing. So I will not. They will hold the dog.
And you will just walk. That
Yes.
sounds amazing. What sort of pro is going to help you with the marketing that goes along with writing? Whether you publish traditionally or self-publish, you have to do the marketing yourself. Who's going to help?
Right. And that's a tricky one because I can do that. I do marketing.
Yeah.
I design websites. I do social media, and I could say, "Oh, that'll be me." But one thing that people in my field very often recognize is that even if you're a graphic designer like I am and stuff, and you can do branding, it's better to bring someone else on from an outside perspective to
Okay.
do that for you. And if I'm going to create social media marketing, all that takes time and it's not fun. Just because I know how to do it doesn't mean I love to do it. For the record, I do not love to do it.
Just saying.
Yeah. So I would love to have somebody else handle that for me. And the trick will be, and this is where my therapist will also come in,
Okay.
letting them do their job, understanding that I hired someone who knows what they're doing. Don't micromanage. Just appreciate that it's being done for me because that's exactly why I did it. So I'm going to have to
Let it
figure
go.
that out. Right. Anything I could do that I just would rather someone else do, I need to learn to sit back and just let it happen.
Absolutely. It's like a doctor going to see another doctor. You don't take care of your own illnesses, right?
Yeah.
Would you have some kind of editorial staff?
Oh, I'd have all the editorial staff.
All of that. Okay.
All of them. I know so many different kinds of editors too, the ones that are going to sit there and give you the really great ideas for story development, the developmental editors, the proof editors, the ones who are going to edit for formatting. And they're going to always be on hand so that if I just need to ask something mid-project, I have my answers.
Yeah. Oh, that it could be so, right? All right.
Yeah.
Final member of the staff. And I think every female writer needs a bouncer.
Yes.
From unnecessary distractions. Describe yours.
It's just Gandalf. It is straight up Gandalf. That man is going to be outside my door or wherever. Somebody walks up and none shall pass. It's just going to be, if people do not cower and walk away, they're going to be yeeted into another room by a thump of his staff, Huh?
Is that a word? Yeeted?
Yeeted. Yes, sorry. I think it's a
Word.
millennial term. It means throwing. They're going to
Oh,
suddenly be
okay. I'm gonna start using that.
and yeah, and basically if they dare counter this, they will feel guilty. They will feel it because he has a way of talking to you and
Mhm.
will know how you should have behaved.
You will know
So
that you have erred
he's
grievously.
gonna cover all those bases. At
Yeah.
first I thought it would be some strong, just actual bouncer dude, but no, it's Gandalf. It's a wizard.
I can see it. He's perfect for you. Absolutely perfect. So, Janai, it's wonderful to dream. It really is because then that tells us something about our current life. And this
Mhm.
is a tough question, but what do your dreams tell you about your current life?
My dreams, it's more like when I sit and think about what I needed to not dream about
Okay.
because I came so close to dreaming about having it was somebody on my staff. I had to fire someone on my dream staff
Okay.
because I received a message from it by wanting to hire them. It was somebody who would a driver who would
Oh, sure.
transport my kids everywhere they needed to go to their
Okay.
classes because we do a homeschool hybrid thing, which means a lot of driving back and forth.
Mhm.
There's the stores that they love to go to, the friends, play dates and the parks, and the older one is still working toward their license, so you have to do that driving around and practice too. I thought, oh, it'd be great if somebody could just handle all that driving. And then I realized that's my quality time, my one-on-one time with each of those kids. That's special time because you're driving for one thing, and I don't do the phone much when I'm driving, so no one can call and interrupt that time with my kids. I can't prioritize work. I can't say, oh, but I should be cleaning or cooking or whatever. I can't fall into social media. I can't do any of that. It's their time. And well, one of them is at the age where they don't want to talk to me anyway, but the other one's there, and I still appreciate the time. And it might even just be, putting on music that tortures her and watching her squirm. It's great, but it is it is that time. And I had to fire that staff member, fire that driver, and
And
tuck those
wisely so.
drives into my heart and recognize them as the blessings that they are.
Right. Right.
Because that's the time when I also can't write, and it's the time that I should not write.
Right. Yeah. Because we can't write all the time.
No.
We can't even soft write all the time. The soft writing being the dreaming part and tossing ideas around with your friends and so forth.
Yep.
I think we all want you for our mom because that's a thing to have discovered. So let's kind of summarize for our fellow scribblies. Every writer needs a space and support that separates her from distractions, even for an hour at a time, right? That holds her must-haves, her equipment, her tools, her books, um, inspires her creativity, color, texture, talismans, and I think most important, says to her world, I am working and it is important, right?
Right.
So we always end with a scribbling nudge. So what do you think about this one, Janai? What
Okay.
ambiance we're going to ask our scribblies to ponder this. What ambiance do you dream of creating? An ambiance that would support your creativity. We want our scribblies to ponder that. Jenai, thank you so much. You've been an incredible guest, given us so much to think about. Besides that, you're fun as always. If those of you who are watching and listening want to connect with other scribblies like Jenai and delve more deeply into this topic, please visit www.nancyrue.com/blog so you can interact and delve more deeply into this topic. And until next time, scribblies, scribble on.